John, welcome.
Thank you, Paul.
This is the first step in the actor's process where we're just going to do auditions. I'm going to ask you some questions and we'll hear your monologue.
Okay.
What this whole process, what the show is going to be about, is basically taking an actor from before he's trained, while he's being trained, and then after he's being trained. So we kind of get the perspective on how the actor relates to the trainer and how his experience or her experience while it's going on. And of course, we'll have our acting coach from New York City, John Pallotta. He'll be here in the studio on the 25th, and where we will tape the whole show. So right now we're just going to do auditions. So I see from your resume you've done quite a lot in this area. Tell me about your acting. How did you start? What made you become an actor?
Well, I became an actor back, I guess like a lot of us do, in middle school, and I just found that I loved it more than anything else. And went to college to study it, and went to New York City. Didn't really get a heck of a lot of acting work. I did manage to get some background bits on some of the soap operas that no longer exist. Did a lot of showcases, did theater on Long Island, which is where I'm from. It was non-equity theater, but at least it paid something. Life intervened, met someone, got married, moved out of New York, was living down here, and my son actually expressed an interest in it. He got a couple of things at the Kennedy Center and Shakespeare Theater, and I found myself suddenly wanting to do it again. It had been about 12 or 13 years at that point that I think I'd done anything. And he and I did this little independent movie together, and had some fun doing that. And I got involved with some theater groups in the area, and just have kept at it ever since.
Good. So how long have you been doing it? I see your SAG, so how long have you been SAG?
Well, I had been in AFTRA and actually became, when they merged, that's how I ended up in SAG. I was in AFTRA back in New York, and I've been in AFTRA since 1977 or 78. I did go on hiatus, you have them sort of drop you from the books for a while, and you don't have to pay dues, but I did, bring it back again when I started working down here. And it was a little looser than it had been in New York. They actually would use AFTRA people as background players and things on some of the movies that shot in the area, which was not the case many years ago. But I became SAG eligible when I got a speaking role on The Wire, which was now 8 years ago, I guess it was. Yeah. And was just waiting for the right moment, to see if I would get another part. Then I put the money aside and would pay it then. And then finally, the merger that they'd been, rumors about for about 30 years came into effect. And so now I'm part of SAG-AFTRA.
Good. So are you doing anything right now? At
the moment, no. Okay. Sending out my picture and resume. I've started contacting some of the casting agencies in New York again. It's been a long time since I've had any contact with them. I did do stand-in work on the show Rescue Me a number of years ago. Okay. But some personal things came up, and I had to kind of put acting to the side for a while. So it's been about 3 or 4 years since I've really actively pursued it, and now I'm back at it.
Good. So what about training? Have you had classes or...
I've studied back in New York, I studied with a woman named Julie Bavasso. I also took some courses at a place called Wiest Barron. I don't know if it's around anymore, but they used to have, the type of classes where you would, work on commercials, soap operas, mostly television oriented. Down here, I've worked at, taking classes at the Shakespeare Theater Company and the Theater Lab also.
Okay, good. Have you heard of John Pallotta at all?
I have heard of him, yes.
Good things, I hope?
Yes. Yeah.
Do you know anything of his style?
I don't know.
Okay. He teaches a form of ballistics. So his primary teaching technique is to get you to work. So a lot of the new actors will come to John, and they will kind of be overwhelmed at first because John kind of gets in your face. He kind of takes you to places that you really don't want to go, or that you didn't know really existed. So if he might ask you the worst thing that ever happened to you, and then he'll bring up those emotions and have you act as those emotions are coming out. So is that something you're going to be comfortable with?
I've done that kind of thing before. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, good. So you got a monologue for me?
I do, yes. I'm John Brennan, and this is Malachi Stack from The Matchmaker by Thornton Wilder. Stealing's a weakness. There are some people who feel you shouldn't have any weaknesses at all, no vices. But if a man has no vices, he's in great danger of making vices out of his virtues. And there's a spectacle. We've all seen them. Men who were monsters of philanthropy and women who were dragons of purity. We've all seen people who told the truth, though the heavens fall and the heavens fell. No. No. Nurse one vice in your bosom. Give it the attention it deserves and let your virtues spring up modestly around it. Then you'll have the miser who's no liar and the drunkard who's a benefactor to a whole city. Well, after I had that weakness of stealing for a while, I took another. I took to whiskey. Whiskey took to me. And then I discovered an important rule that I'm going to pass on to you. Never support two weaknesses at the same time. It's your combination sinners, your lecherous liar, and your miserly drunkard who dishonor the vices and bring them into bad repute. So, now you can see why I want to get rid of this money. I want to keep my mind free to do the credit to whiskey that it deserves. And my last word to you, ladies and gentlemen, is this: one vice at a time. Thank you.